Good evening and welcome to our show, Going Public. I'm Renee Fonseca, and joining us tonight is Mr. Bubba Ongeron, the Terrebonne Parish School District Superintendent. Tonight, we will receive updates on the transportation system and the current building projects taking place. I want to thank you for joining us
All right,
tonight, Mr.
thank you for
Ongeron.
having me.
I know with school fixing to begin, a
hmm
lot of parents may start questioning transportation, what's taking place. I know
hmm
that we've had some changes overall in the district regarding transportation.
That's right. Yes, we have.
Can
Yes,
you give us some of those updates and what's taking place?
certainly. Yes. So last year in preparation for this year, we sent out I did a video, sent out to parents and a flyer that had a lot of this information I'm gonna speak of this evening. Um, so we encountered some problems last year. You know, we had a problem with buses arriving late to school, both in the morning and getting kids home late, and so much so that it was causing some instructional minutes to be missed by a lot of kids. Um, and it was repeated. You know, we worked on things, we tried to iron out some of the problems, but it kept happening. So you ask the question, why is this happening? Right? Simple question. And it kept coming down to we're short drivers. You know, we have a lot of runs, a lot of kids. We're going, you know, obviously all ends of the parish, and so we're short drivers. So next question is, what can we do to get more drivers? You know, it sounds simple, right? Well, let's get more drivers. Well, it's not that easy. So we started questioning kind of our whole approach to acquiring drivers and attracting drivers. So we did a few things. We went into this all out marketing campaign. And not only marketing, but first of all, we had to kind of let drivers know we were hiring, or let potential drivers know we were hiring, and asked about what are some barriers, what are some things that are preventing you from wanting to drive. And in some cases, we had a lot of people, or several anyway, that would tell us, um, I'd like to get the CDL training, I'd like to come get bus driver trained, but um, I don't have the means to get from my current job, go through all this training and not have a paycheck coming in just so I can get trained to do bus driving. And it made sense, right? I mean, you can't leave getting no money coming in. So we said, you know what? We're going to pay you $100 a day for training, just to kind of bridge that gap from your current job that you'd be leaving and transitioning to this job. And that's helped out a whole lot. So they're going to not only get free CDL training, which is a big bonus for people getting that CDL training, and secondly, we're going to give them that little stipend, $100 a day. It's not a lot, but it's enough just to kind of bridge that gap we feel, and I think it's been appreciated by those who've trained. So that's a couple of things we've done. We also kind of went out in this full, I guess as best as we can do, a marketing campaign. And you see our signs. We have signs here and there in different parts of town, in front of our bus garage, in front of South Terrebonne on the Bayou side, in different places, kind of saying we're hiring now, apply. And we made the application process on our website real easy. You know, they just kind of click on and simply directs them straight to the application site. Up here, you can see our website, and this is kind of where they go. They go to the transportation department website. Now we have a new website. We're kind of still in the process of transitioning, but right up in here, um, apply for a 40-hour driver or apply to be a regular driver. You click there, and it brings you right to the application. So that process is very simplified. So those are some of the marketing things we've done. And it's generated quite a few people that are with us today driving, but we're still short. Okay, so with all this effort, and we've gotten drivers trained and put drivers on routes, we're still short. Okay, so we've made some other changes. So we asked the next question, okay, what else can we do? And that's the whole changes in what we're doing. So one of the main things that we've changed on the east side, traditionally, we had three different runs. We had our first run, second run, third run. Well, we're taking the three runs on the east side and condensing them to two runs. And the logic there is that if you have two runs, you can put a bigger gap of time between the two runs. So we're putting a whole hour between the first run and the second run, and we're pretty sure that's going to help alleviate some of the delays here and there. So that's a big shift, two runs. And what we're going to do, we're going to put middle school and high school kids that live in the same neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to get picked up together and then dropped off at each school one after the other at the same time for the most part. So that's a big change, and all of those shifts have been communicated. But just to give you a for instance, if I have kids who attend Oaklawn, and Oaklawn kids typically feed to Ellender, right? So those kids in those neighborhoods that have Ellender kids in the same neighborhood, they'll get picked up together and dropped off at Oaklawn, and then they'll be run over to Ellender pretty much within 5, 6 minutes of one drop off to the other. So that's what we're doing on the east side. Um, West side, we're keeping the 3 runs. We're consolidating or making the times more consistent. We have like 3 distinct times for the first, second, and third run on the west side. But the other big thing we're doing, and this is going to be a biggie, um, we're consolidating bus stops. So so you figure how many stops are we making on every route? You combine all that, and it's like astronomical how many stops we're making, and every stop is a delay. It takes time. So if we consolidate stops and make less frequent stops, we're sensing or we're thinking that that's going to speed up the runs, right? It's I'm not going to say common sense, but it's pretty logical. So with that said, we've got to have a very like I said, consolidated stop, and what we're following is 200 yards for elementary kids. That's kind of how far apart the stops will be. Now, that's a lot further than what we've been doing. But if we keep doing the same thing, right, we'll keep having kids late to school. So we're going to 200 yards for elementary, 400 yards for middle school, and about 600 yards for high school kids. Okay, that's how far the stops will be apart. That's a big change. We're stopping almost in some cases door to door. Every other house we're stopping. We'll never get to school on time if we keep doing that. So I did just a little research. I asked a few colleagues, about a dozen colleagues statewide, I said, what are the distances of your stops? And, I got a lot of different answers. And what we're doing actually, the 200, 400, and 600 yards, that's actually closer than the majority of the districts in Louisiana. Most of them are actually, I'm looking at my chart here, see, ours, if you take 200 yards, it's about a tenth of a mile, okay, for elementary kids, about a tenth of a mile. My screen just went dark. Most schools are like 2/10 of a mile for elementary, 2/10, 4/10, 6/10 for high school. So we're like 1/10, 2/10, 3/10 of a mile, if that makes sense. And some schools next door, I talked to the superintendent next door, they're roughly about 5/10 of a mile. So we're within reasonable distances, I guess is my point. And that's going to be a big shift in transportation. So we're asking for cooperation, for patience, but our primary goal is getting kids to school safely and on time. And look, even in the afternoons, it causes a lot of delays, and parents have schedules and things that kids have to do, and they're getting home a half hour, in some cases an hour late. That's just unacceptable. So we had to make some shifts in what we were doing.
And how are parents going to be notified of where their bus stop will be?
Okay, sure. So sometimes next week, probably before Friday of next week, all of these routes will be available. So we have a company working on with our assistants, they're working on all the routes, and we have a little delay in our websites, right? Our websites, we had a host, and the host went out of business. So we had to transition to a new site and our new host, and we're transitioning all the school websites to this new site. It may not be ready on the school website, but schools will inform parents through their social media. They'll probably make a J call. Parents are familiar with J calls. So they'll call parents and say, look, check our social media. Bus stops are posted. So that's kind of what we'll do by next week. Probably by Friday, we'll have stops and what bus numbers each neighborhood, each street's going to be kind of taking. So we're excited about it. Some big changes, but necessary. We had to do this to make things work.
And approximately how many bus drivers are we short in our district?
About 25. So that's 25 runs, right? And then so that sounds manageable, 25. But then every day, I mean, with the amount of drivers we have some drivers that use sick leave. They're sick. They need to stay home. So you take the 25 and you add, let's say, a dozen people who are out on a regular basis, which is just kind of the norm, it adds up. So we're looking to shave off minutes and just really streamline everything as much as so we can account for that. We're also looking to maximize the number of kids who are on a bus. You know, we're not going to have like 12 kids on a bus. We might have some routes that it might have a few more streets, right? And we can manage that if the stops are far enough apart. You can kind of get a few more streets, get more kids on the bus, so you don't need so many buses to kind of run the amount of kids we have.
No, I'm sure the schools are excited for that as
Yeah,
well with all
and
of the,
yeah,
like you
yes,
said,
yes,
loss of
yes,
minutes
yeah,
and
and you know, we talk often in principal meetings and employee representative
Mhm.
meetings, and I ask, what are some issues, some problems, some concerns you have? How can we support or fix things that are going on? And buses were always the number one concern with administrators because it causes issues. There's longer. Uh, you're out there hours at the end of the day. You know the day's over. There's things we have to kind of catch up with in the building. You know, I'm talking about administrators and teachers, and they have schedules and kids to get home to, and we're waiting on buses that are late. And so the question is, what can we do? And I was at a point. We're not going to say we're short drivers. We
Mhm.
got to do something different. So that's what we're doing. You go to, this is the main page right here. So all the way to the right here, there's a hurricane recovery tab. And if you click on master schedule, then off to the left, right under master schedule, you click on that and it takes you to this chart here. So this chart is um, live, it's up to date, it's got all the accurate information, and you can see it's color coded, right? So the main things that I'm looking for, if you can stop the scroll for just a second, I'm looking for like this one here that's up right now at the top is Broadmoor. So the blue are all the bid phase little sections in the chart. And look, they're live and up to date. So when you see an into the blue, that means the bid has been awarded and it's been assigned to a contractor. So blue is good, right? If we have a blue, that means it's in the hands of a construction company to do some kind of work or other. And the green is obviously the construction phase. So we had all the pinkish red colors, which was all the design phase of the project. And then the architect sent it out to bid, bids got awarded, and the greens are construction's beginning. And what we like to see at the end of the green is a little yellow box. A little yellow box means it's done. So so you can see also, excuse me, on the left side on that column right after the school name, there are gray boxes with what the project is, and some of that is like interior building repair, roof repair. But we added a couple of other things, and those are in red and blue. You see the red and blue boxes? So the red, I can't quite see it from here, but the red, I think, are fencing projects. So we're doing this pretty extensive safety project where we're putting perimeter fencing around different schools. And we're putting some 7-foot high fencing, and it's designed by an architect, local architect. There we go. And most of those projects, like the one that we're looking at now at Broadmoor, it's in the construction phase. All the fencing projects have been awarded. We have a company that's going out there, they're setting poles. And all this was done very strategically. Like we're not just kind of randomly putting fence. We're using, in some cases, the building as a perimeter control. So we're going from corner of a building and we're fencing off different, sections of the schoolyard. Or our main prerogative is to keep the building as guarded as possible with fence. So we don't have just people off the street just kind of easily entering through a back door, which should be locked,
Mhm.
right? So the fence is one layer, the locked perimeter door is a second layer. But we're trying to eliminate all possibilities of just random entries into our school. So that's a big part, and we have all that going on right now. Not all that, but all those fencing projects. They're happening at multiple schools right now. So that's a biggie. Also, the blue section, so the red box was fencing, the blue section are HVAC replacement projects. So that's a biggie, right? We're spending a lot of our resources on air conditioner replacements, and we desperately needed to do that. Some of our schools that have 30, 40-year-old systems that have been really patched up about as long as we can patch them. No, we were able to just hang on. So it's exciting to see that those blue boxes are in the green phase right now, like Broadmoor. That's another one. So you can see the green construction phase is ready to go. Just kind of scrolling down, I'm not going to get into every school, but you see there's a lot of blue boxes. Dularge is getting an air conditioner replacement. Um, Elysian Fields, we have Grand Caille Elementary, housed in Elysian Fields. The AC there is rough. It's barely hanging on, if at all. So that one's getting changed out. We need to desperately do that. Elysian, because they're going to be there for a couple of years, right? We have Legion Park that's getting an updated air conditioner. Mulberry's got a new wing, but the old part had a very, it was in a desperate situation. It would break frequently and have to get changed and just wasn't keeping up. And then the other biggie is Oaklawn, that we're right there at Oaklawn. And you can see there's a couple of red boxes, a couple of blue boxes, some gray stuff from the storm. But the blue here is HVAC. And also with the HVAC, we're changing out at Oaklawn. Scroll up, there you go, right there. A major window replacement. So, and here's the cool thing, and I think I've mentioned this before on this program, and I say this a lot, we're not changing out just glass. It's not like we're removing old glass and putting new glass. When we're changing out these windows, it's the whole entire exterior wall. And we're going to make it really updated with some architectural features and designs. Nothing fancy, but just modernizing the building and getting it, to look very just well maintained and updated. So that's coming at Oaklawn, and also Legion Park. We're doing that same kind of project at Legion Park. So that's our air conditioned projects. Just a couple of other noteworthy projects that I'll mention. And there's a lot going on. So we have all this AC work going on right now. That's a lot. And we would have loved to have gotten it done in the summer, but that won't happen. Particularly at Bourgeois, it's a huge project at HL Bourgeois. So that's a biggie going on right now, and all the others have kind of begun. Other noteworthy projects, Acadian. We're doing security fencing at Acadian, roofing, floors, windows, and walls. All that's happening. And what we want parents to know, schools that had like fairly significant damage, Acadian was one. We had a lot of window damage and a lot of, water penetration. So there's a lot of work to get done. It's inhabitable, right? It's able to have class in school, but what we're going to have to do at Acadian and some other schools, as they're doing the work, we may have to move kids to another area in the school so we can work on this little section. When that section's done, kids will come back, and then we'll just kind of keep rotating. So that's going to be part of doing construction while kids are in school. You just can't get it all done in summer or Thanksgiving holidays and all that. So it's going to be inconvenient, but to get it done well and properly, that'll have to happen in some of our schools. I could go on and talk about all the different schools, but just a couple of others. And again, I'll recommend people go to the chart. If you have any questions, reach out to that school, call us, and we'll answer any questions. If you want to know anything more specific, it's kind of generalized. It says construction or interior construction. What does that look like? And for the most part, it's floor, ceilings, in some cases windows, but that's about the extent of it. A lot of floor replacement, and a lot of that stuff got wet. So it's already been removed, the original flooring. So we're on bare concrete. So we're at a point, once the roofs get done, we'll come in and do flooring. So speaking of roofs, Houma Junior High roof is completed. So the interior work, and you can see that on the chart, is it's going to be going out to bid. See, it's probably the last bar. Where's Houma Junior High? You can see roof repairs should be completed. Then we've got the next bar. It's the design phase is showing, so the bid process is coming within the month. So that'll be about a month, and we'll reward that to a contractor. So that's one. HL Bourgeois, just kind of mention that one. So that bid for the construction of the work inside, interior work, and again, that's flooring, that's a roof. There's a lot of things in sports facilities. There's some baseball concession stand stuff, little things that's going to be rolled into this big project. So I often get questioned, as why we're not moving on little things, because it's all part of the big package. They come in packages, like everything from a concession stand at a baseball field to a gym floor and a roof project in a school. It's all one package. So you can't get ahead. We can't get ahead of ourselves, is what I'm saying. If it's going to be covered by FEMA, which everybody knows, we're dependent on some of that, not some of it, but the majority of that, federal support for a lot of our buildings. So that's coming at Bourgeois. And again, we're going to do the roof over there at Bourgeois, and then we're going to get the what we call the auxiliary gym. So we have a competition gym. It was formerly, we called it boys girls, but it's really not boys girls. It's a competition gym, and the other gym is an auxiliary gym. It's PE and supplemental things in the other gym. That floor is bad, but we can't change the floor until the leaking stops from the roof. There's water penetration coming down the wall, seeping under, so it'd be premature to change a floor before the roof's done. So that's some of the logic behind that. So again, I could go on. Grand Caillou, Southdown. Southdown was, very visible issues going on with Southdown. Some of the superficial panels and things like that completed, right? You can pass by now, and Southdown's done, as well as Grand Caillou Middle. Two of our newer schools had some superficial damage. That's all done. South Terrebonne. Well, let me get to Upper Little Caillou. I just mentioned this one. Upper Little Caillou and Grand Caillou Elementary.
Mm-hmm.
Both of those schools are slated to be rebuilt. However, we're still in a phase of FEMA approval. Now we're pretty confident that it's going to be approved, but until we get official word, we're kind of at a standstill with the design and demolition and all those things. So those buildings will get demolished, hopefully, and we'll rebuild right where we're at. So that's coming. And then we could talk next time about South Terrebonne, LaCache, and Ellender.
Well, we definitely have lots of progress going on once
Yes,
again. So
yes.
the word today, progress. I want to thank you
All
for
right,
taking
thanks. Yeah, sure
time.
thing.
I would like to thank you, our viewers, for watching. Don't forget to join us every week on Going Public. Good night.